Okay, today let's talk about cryptography. So we've already talked about how we try to keep data safe, confidential, right? And cryptography is that science of keeping things safe. So let's jump in. So cryptography is basically scrambling data so it looks like gibberish to anyone except if you know how to decode it. The algorithm or the cipher is that set of instructions so you can unscramble the data. A couple more terms you need to know. Plain text means decrypted or unencrypted data. And plain text doesn't have to be words, text. It could be an image, it could be anything else, but it's unencrypted. Ciphertext then is data that has been encrypted. And another science, cryptanalysis, is attempting to break that cryptographic system and return the encrypted message into plain text. So we're not gonna dive too deep into it. I just want you to have a little background knowledge of this. So let me give you a little bit of historical context. So probably the earliest cipher that we know of is Caesar's cipher around 100 BC. And this is like a shift cipher. So what Caesar did was he shifted the alphabet forward or backward a certain number of letters. And the key was how many letters to shift. So if the cipher was to shift 2 backwards, then an A would become a Y, a B would become a Z, et cetera, et cetera. And if you knew that shift, you could decrypt the message, right? So one way to decrypt messages like this is to create a cipher wheel. So which is just a wheel that has the alphabet written twice, once on the inside, once on the outside. And when you turn it, you can then encrypt and turn it a certain number of spaces. Another way you can decrypt. Okay, so if you're watching this, you can pause the video and you can go ahead and try to solve this. Okay, or you can put it into an online tool and that'll decrypt it even faster for you. Okay, so sometimes you don't just shift every single letter a certain number of spaces. Sometimes you're substituting letters for other letters. Okay, so an A could be an X and a B could be a C, and there's no pattern in a substitution cipher. This makes it harder to decrypt, but not impossible. Okay, so I'm going to skip this little activity at the bottom of the screen. Okay, but the way you crack a substitution cipher is by using frequency analysis. And that's this fancy term for certain letters are used more often than others, right? In English, the most common letter is an E. And if you've ever watched Wheel of Fortune, you know that the 5 most common letters are R, S, T, L, N, and E. So by knowing that, you can analyze how many times a letter is used in a ciphertext. And you can generally guess that, oh, C must actually be an E because it's the most used letter, et cetera, right? And so that's a way that you can just crack that cipher. Okay. Another way to crack it is by solving short words, right? I and A are, of course, the best because one letter, it's got to be, if you see a 1-letter word, it's I or A. Then you go to 2-letter words, or you can do common words like the and for, etc. And very quickly, you can start to knock out a few letters. And as soon as you get a whole bunch of letters solved, the rest of them fall pretty easily. Okay, so let's talk about an encryption method that is unbreakable. This is called a one-time pad. And in this encryption scheme, you've got the cipher on a piece of paper, and each cipher is only used once. So you use that piece of paper to encrypt a message, and your friend who has a matching pad takes that first sheet of paper and uses the cipher on that to decrypt it. And after that, you throw that piece of paper away, and the second sheet of paper on each pad has a totally different cipher. And this is unbreakable because every single message has a different cipher. This is the same concept that was used in the Enigma machines in World War II. If you watch the movie The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, you could see how that played out and how he used computers to solve that problem, right? So anyway, pretty interesting things. Here's a couple more ciphers, at least one more. Transposition cipher. So you just draw a grid and you start writing the letters across, but then you're going to read the message vertically, up and down. Okay, so if you do that, you put in all the letters and start reading vertically, you get this message. An unexamined life isn't worth living. I don't know who said that, but I know it's a famous quote. Okay, maybe one last one, the Vigenère cipher. This is a very common cipher. You have your kind of like a shift cipher, but each letter is shifted a different amount of time. So your key tells you how many times to shift each letter. Okay, so if the key was schools, then you're going to shift a certain number of times to encrypt each letter. All right, so hopefully this is fun for you. I'm gonna end with this video here to give you a little further explanation. So go ahead and watch this video. I know it's about 8 minutes long, but well worth your time as it goes pretty deep into what cryptography is and a little bit on how we use it today.